I know it's been a while, but I am finally back to making content, and that means more Mythgard content as well, because I just love this game, and I'm excited that I can finally share it with you all. I'm gonna start with this mono red time to fight list. I gotta be honest, I've been a little bit downtrodden as I think about Mythgard content I want to make, because there's a number of lists that I enjoy, but I just don't own the cards for, and I feel like I'm doing some of them a disservice if I'm playing them in an incomplete fashion. But I've kind of come to grips with that it might be okay to kind of showcase incomplete lists for now while I build my collection, so that I can maybe demonstrate what you do if you're a player who does not have all the cards for a list, and how you kind of fill those gaps, right? So again, we're going to start with this mono red list. This is as close to kind of like time to fight, if you will, that you can get in Mythgard. There's a lot of creatures with rush in this particular deck, and that is this game's version of charge. So it's very close, right? If you played my time to fight lists in the Elder Scrolls Legends, this will be right up your alley. Now, this is like the top half of the deck. I'm going to also go ahead and hit this so you can see the second half, and this is, again, the version I'm running now, because I do not own all the cards that I would like to run for a list like this. But you can at least kind of see what the deck is trying to do. I will put the deck in the video description like I have been doing for these as well. But cards that I am missing that I would want to add in. So for example, Shopworn Bull, I only own the one. This is a great card in red just in general. The 2/5 body for 3. That's a great stat line. It's resilient, and the utility action means you get to do this and attack. And so being able to play this and then get this kind of card filter effect is just fantastic. It's a really solid card. So I would like to run 2. And then these are kind of like situational, but potential includes depending on the meta. So Stairway to Hades I have up on the screen like ready to go, because this card is great. It's one of the few lane enchantments that you can sometimes kind of in a sneaky way get instant value from. So the downside is a non-demon minion, so you don't get to use it with something like Wings of Abaddon, because that would be absurd. But with your rush creatures, so let's take something like Ironbelly Wyvern, right? You got this in a lane, and you know you're coming up on turn 5, somebody puts down a blocker, and you're going to be forced to trade. You can slap down Stairway to Hades, trade in with the Ironbelly, your Ironbelly dies, hopefully their minion dies as well, but then yours comes back, and it has Frenzy, so it can attack twice, and it has Rush, so it gets to attack twice right away, and you can get a lot of value that way. Another like interesting one here is that Panic Raider here does not say demon, so this can trigger, and it's interesting because Panic Raider can like self-trigger Hades because of the breach. So if you've got a Panic Raider on the board and it's already attacked once, right, so it's down to that 1/1 status, and you're about to attack again, you can slap down Stairway to Hades, swing, so you get to draw that card, and then the -1/-1 kills itself, but then it comes back, and so then it can attack again, and then because it has Frenzy, it can attack again, so it kills itself twice on Stairways, but you draw 3 cards with that interaction, and then Stairway is still open for you to deploy another minion there, so Stairway is just fun. Sea Lord's Trident is the kind of card that can come in and out. If you find your game's going long and you just need consistent pressure, being able to consistently create a body is great, but it's just a 4/2 body that you're creating every turn, so in many cases you're going to have just more powerful cards to play from hand. So this is really only for like slower metas, but there has been times where I've included it in my mono red lists. Howling Abyssal, this card used to be much different in the alpha, still pretty solid, however, and it's even more so against, again, like control decks or in longer metas, grindy metas, because this is kind of a bit of an equalizer if you've got somebody sitting on a stacked hand. Otherwise, most of the time it's just going to be 4 for a 4/3, but you can make some decks be pretty uncomfortable with the Abyssal because it's random. If it wasn't random, this card would be junk, and I know most people are not a big fan of like random effects, but the reality is for this to have any power as is, it needs to be random, because a control deck's going to have plenty of cards that they would just pitch anyway. But that's the options. Another one, I can go ahead and just remove this filter here real quick. So another one that I would definitely include if I owned it, it's another mythic, is the Oak of Dodana. the immobile does not mean it cannot attack. This does not have defender, so this is still 4 for a 4/3 like the abyssal, but has far more relevant abilities, so this is solid. And yeah, those are some of the cards I don't own, but for the most part, this is just a attack, face, make smart tempo plays deck. And I know I've talked a bit longer than I normally do. Normally I jump right into the game, so I apologize, and we're going to do that now. And we're going to follow the normal format. So I'm going to take this deck and jump on the ladder, and we're going to play 2 games, win or lose. And we hope for more wins than losses. But you'll at least kind of get to see what the deck is trying to do. Mono red is... how do I want to put this? I mean, it's a new player staple because it is, for the most part, pretty easy to build, right? Like, you can build competent versions with not many rares. Now, I got a fair number of rares in my list, but like, you don't need extract life to make this deck work, for example. It's kind of a nice to have sort of thing. But it would appear that we have queued into Mark Theus here, who is a great player, mind you. So we are going to have quite the uphill battle. And we got a lot of things here. I think this is the safe one to burn. And they are not running Impel, so if we drop this right here, it will just be a 1-for-1. You have to kind of pay attention because against the Valks that run Impel, this opener means they could swift and then swift over and still attack. So, like, trying to chase them does not always work out in your favor. Now, got a lot of interesting choices here. We're going to have to go with a trapezist, and we can't trade even. The real question is, do we also want to give up our pup here? Because we could just burn this without shuffling it back in, and I think that's okay. We have removal once we hit the 3, or we could plop down the shopworn bull, so I think this is fine. But we want to saturate. Well, firesong's actually not half bad here either. Let's go with the firesong. That gives us more flexibility with the addition of the ignition. I mean, we run normal ignition in the list, right? Like, I can pull this out and you can see we have the 4 in the deck, but firesong here is the remix to ignition. Hot and fresh out the kitchen. Oh, alright. That's actually pretty good for us. I know it doesn't seem like it when your opponent just up and draws a bunch of cards, but trust me when I say. So, like, this one we can burn knowing that we have the other one still in hand. Trust me when I say, if you're playing against a Valkyrie-based deck and they're not developing their board, that's a win. It's a win for you. So again, you can use the utility actions right away. Panic Raider's not half bad here. I don't think we need 2 trapezists, so we'll ship 1 of those back. You could argue for keeping 2 because next turn at 4 mana, that's a nice 2-and-2 split, but this again, this 2/5 body, very nice. Even in an aggressive list, sometimes big stat lines matter because you can play defense with them. This is kind of like the Hive Defender of red, if you will, because of the big stat line. And oh no! That is a very good play for our opponent.
Need a wrench?
Very good play for our opponent, but we thankfully have an answer. I don't think we need 2 extract lives either, so 1 of these is a nice burn. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and use our ignition, and I think we're going to go ahead and just take this value trade as well, get that out of the way. And then going into this next turn, we have a lot of options. We have 2 forms of removal to kind of keep this forward tempo. We also have Magmataur, which is a great tempo answer in many cases. Raider if we need to draw cards. So we'll wait and see what they do with this freaky deaky Frecky here.
Need a wrench?
That's interesting. Like, if you're going to chump block,
All right ahead.
then I would have thought you would want to hit this one, but instead we get the value trade. Now this is beautiful is what this is. So we're gonna take this here, And now we just have to figure out which card we want to burn. And I feel like against Valk's Crimson Pact is probably the okay one to burn since we're sitting on the extract life here. So we'll burn this. We're also more likely to draw that one back. But this is going to be a beautiful Magmataur. Although my sequencing was off. Alright, so I actually made an oopsie here. So I should have played my Magmataur first before attacking, because now I'm going to lose my Magmataur. What should have been a full clear instead results in me taking at least 4 damage, if not more, and losing my Magmataur. So, naughty me. For some reason in my head this was the Valkyrie tough, but it is not. It is a chosen, and you need to pay attention when you are playing against the chosen. They get bigger when the other Valks die. So that could have been a blowout turn, and instead we're allowing our opponent to get right back in this game with that massive play mistake. Oh, it wouldn't be a Charmer video without a play mistake though, right? But the important thing is that you recognize it and you learn from it. Or in my case, you just do it over and over again on video. So yeah. Not the best outcome for us. Alright, the Duskwing is a solid pickup, but we're going to do things proper this time around, alright? We are going to go ahead and drop this here first, which then leaves us with 3 mana left over, which is exactly enough to hit this. Get us some healing back while clearing a path. Get that damage in, and we're going to sit. Basically, our deck kind of caps out at 5, so being at 5 is fine. And here we just kind of continue playing for the board. At some point we'd like to develop this. While this does not have Rush on its own, it's a great card to include at times because of the things that it does well. Alright, so in this instance, I think what we're going to do is go ahead and use this to make this trade. You know what? We're actually not. We're going to use this here to make this trade. We're going to pay attention to what we're doing here, gang. We'll keep the permanent 3-2 as opposed to the temporary 3-2, if you will. And we'll actually just run this away. And if they want to chase me down, that's fine. But at this point, we've got enough forward board tempo that taking the 3 damage to try to preserve our status makes sense. It also means if they put something here, then this can potentially trade again, allowing this to push through for more damage. Because we're pretty close to lethal here. Oh, that's a big cataclysm. Wow. I mean, it's going to be game because we can come in with the old raider here. So I made a pretty horrible play mistake. Could have been way worse for us. But it was a good game nonetheless. And like we do, we're going to go ahead and jump into game number 2 here. Hey, our ranked match is ready. Well, that was fast. Maybe that'll make up for all the rambling I did early on. So, we're up against that one guy who is very much going to be on a control deck. This is not likely going to be a good thing for us. And you know it's control when you see a Rainbow's End and a Mend for the power. So, just so we're clear here. We'll go ahead and burn one of these. Our hand is okay. I'm just kind of questioning if I even want to deal with this cat. I think the answer is no right away. Because if it's against a control deck, or what appears to be a control deck, it's possible this is just straight like deserts or something, but I think you typically want
Hey there.
to try to continue pressuring. Well, that's even further disappointing. We don't need 2 of these, so we'll go ahead and throw the feast back. That is disappointing. So like we can trade even if I use this, but then we've kind of like given up initiative pretty hard. So I actually think doing something like this makes more sense, and then just passing. Life tap will trigger not on our turn. It's not like drain from the Elder Scrolls Legends, so other than if they have some sort of like removal that pings this, there's no benefit for me to attacking into that. This way I block 2 damage and still gain 2 health as opposed to the reverse, so. Wow, alright, maybe I was wrong with this line of thought. Maybe I was wrong all along. Oh, I think we're going to go ahead and pitch this one as well. And we're just going to do some cleanup. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Develop here and get rid of that. I mean, it's the best we can do for now. We're not in a great spot for trying to be the aggressor. We've been stalled pretty well, but we did not start with many of our rush minions. Kind of started with the slower half, the stuff that you traditionally use to kind of like protect your tempo, so.
Hey there.
Oof. The thing about playing against orange is that they are never like hurting really for minions. Yeah, let's just do this, I guess. They just kind of never run out of cards, which can be annoying because it's, in many ways, it's like infinite blockers. There is a list that I'm actually planning on showcasing in a future video. It's mono orange tokens. I kind of wanted to talk about how I think that disc is overlooked a bit. But yeah, that's my enemy's ability to kind of just like permanently stall us is going to be pretty legit. So again, I have to kind of do this. We'll hit this Magmataur here, but then that means I can just make something else here, which then makes tokens. Which is, again, kind of the problem against orange. Orange has a never-ending flood of bodies. You've got to figure out a way to kind of go above them, if that makes sense. Up and over. I got a feeling that we are just not going to be able to push through this with the slow start that we had. Alright, Hecate's wheel is kind of nice here, though. Let's do this and see what we draw. Guess we'll just do that for now. Yeah, Hecate's wheel's not half bad here. This is currently a 1 of in the list. There's been times in the past where I've ran it as a 2 of. It's a really solid inclusion at times. However, this is a big worm. It's so big. Let's see what we get and go from there. Alright, well, we're gonna do this. It always has the overrun. Unfortunately, not much we can really do about that. So we're gonna be taking damage. Here I think these go back because we want to nuke this. But we're gonna be taking some damage here. Well, that's a bit of a bummer, just because now our magma boy does not help us out there. And again, like, if you're wondering, they've got a lot of bodies from this. We're gonna drop the one just because it helps block some damage, and we're at a low enough health where that's relevant. I just don't think that we're gonna be able to pull this off.
Fortune favors us.
I think this is just more a testament to how well orange stops our strategy because of the never-ending bodies. Just so many bodies. Alright, so wings are okay. Definitely want to do this here. We take the damage, we gain the health. I guess let's go ahead and do this so that we can do this. Okay, they're up to 9. I suppose 9's fine if you just want to jam down like 3 of these on a single turn one of these times. So, thankfully, our friend didn't know this granted warded. So, Marty there wasn't too big of an issue. But again, like, we're nowhere near killing them, and we're not going to be able to run them out of resources, you know? Like, we're going to take 3 here just from this exchange. And we have this trade, but then they can just drop at least 3 more bodies here. Suppose we could have also ended up with 1 more health if I would have infused the life tap, but just have one of those feelings where it's not going to matter much. Now would be a great time for me to get back a Magmataur, and we did. I was just about to check because I had a feeling it was coming. Oh, it feels so good. Alright, we're gonna take 2 if I don't use the trade here, but I don't think it's correct. Because if we throw this away, like, it's gone for good. And we really don't need to go higher in mana. So, like, we're low on health, but I think that this is probably still correct. Our biggest issue right now is actually that with so many deserts there, let's do this over here. We gotta start getting damage in there somehow. But with so many deserts that our opponent has, it's actually hard for us to attack without hurting ourselves. This is one of those times where what we really needed to get going much sooner would have been like a duskwing angel. Well, I mean, we're still technically alive. Again, things aren't looking great. But getting a duskwing up and running would allow us to, like, potentially gain the health back that we would need to survive this. I just don't think... Oh, snap. Maybe. I mean, if they have a temptation, then, like, we just lose anyway.
Lie still.
So I guess this is our only hope. Oh, they have a seal! Oh, seal is actually the worst possible outcome there. That's a good game. Yeah, if we would have got a duskwing, I think a little bit sooner, assuming that they're not just sitting on that seal the entire time, but if we would have got a duskwing sooner, we might have been alright. Orange is a bit of a bad matchup for us, but it was a good game. And that's it. That's 2 games, win or lose. You got to see the deck be aggressive, be aggressive, and then you got to see it get kind of stalled out by endless bodies, which does sometimes happen, but anyway. I love you all. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you're somebody finding me for the first time because of Mythgard and you're not familiar with my Legends content or all my other card game content, consider subscribing. Stick around. I promise I'm... Okay, I can't promise that I'm more entertaining than this, but nonetheless, I appreciate you. Hopefully, I'll catch you guys in some future videos.